Today we are going to talk about one book which was written more than 2000 years ago, and the writer is often credited with the father and the mother of yoga. The book itself is just 196 verses with 4 chapters, but is revered by great yoga masters like Swami Vivekanand, Sadhguru, Osho, B.K.S. Iyengar, Swami Satchidanand, Krishnamacharya, and many more. The book is Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. This small book is all we need to understand some of the deepest mysteries of life. More importantly, the modern basis of 8 limbs of yoga, which is often taught in pretty much each and every good yoga school, comes from this book. So the 8 limbs of yoga is part of this book, and this is where it's explained in its truest form. We are also going to discuss some of the techniques and approaches that will help you get most out of the book. So stay tuned. The book is penned by a writer called Patanjali, is roughly dated anywhere between 2000 to 2500 BC. Still not clear whether it was written by one person named Patanjali or there were multiple writers coming together. Book itself is the crest jewel among all the other books of yoga. It was lost for almost 1000 plus years until it was revived recently in 1900s by Swami Vivekanand. There are many different commentaries of this book by several different writers. The book originally was written in Sanskrit, and since Swami Vivekananda wrote it, there are several different commentaries written by some great yogis and Indologists on this book. So even though I'm talking about one book, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, I'm actually recommending few different versions of the book because every writer writes from their own approach and brings their own essence and knowledge to it. So the best way I found it was actually reading all these different versions, comparing verse from one book to the other and understanding both the approaches. And when you start reading it and researching it, you yourself will come up with your own meaning for it, which is relevant to yourself. To give you an example, Swami Vivekanand's version might come across from a very simple concentrative point of view, whereas the one written by Bihar School of Yoga is from a pure yogic perspective. And so all of these different traditions and thought processes are true, and they all add a different lens to this book or this knowledge. So all of these books are good and insightful. I myself have got 9 different versions of the 9 different commentaries of the book. I've got 2 physical books, and then I've got 7 different versions. So the version I would recommend everyone to start with, Swami Vivekanand's commentary on Patanjali Yoga Sutras, because it's a very simple, practical and direct book. However, what will happen is as you start reading through the book, certain terms that are harder to understand or certain perspectives that are harder to understand. So rather than trying to read all 4 chapters, I would suggest if you read one chapter, read it for one version, then try it in a different version, see how that differs from the other one, and see where you get your own learning behind it. Again, I can read Sanskrit and somewhat understand it, but I mostly follow the English translation and try to understand based on it. Another good version that I recommend is Swami Prabhavananda's Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Again, this is a book that you will find in Ramakrishna Math, which is Ramakrishna's organization set up by Swami Vivekanand. And it's a very small book, as you can see, 196 verses, a very good pocket book to go through and read. It's a very good version. Another one which I would recommend is called How to Know God by Swami Prabhavananda and Christopher Isherwood. The book that I personally connect to and refer day in and out is called 4 Chapters of Freedom by Swami Satyanand Saraswati, who was a disciple of Swami Shivanand, and this is published by Bihar School of Yoga. I'll leave the links for all these books in the description below. I don't think I can recommend one book for this because each book, even though it's doing a commentary on the same thing, it has different values and different perspectives. But if you had to start, I would say read Swami Vivekanand's version, then read Swami Prabhavananda's book called Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and then finally for long time reading, this is the one I meditate upon and read few verses at a time. 4 chapters on freedom by Swami Satyananda Saraswati. So the book itself, as we discussed, has 4 chapters. The first one is instructions on yoga, which is the union, and there's some philosophical aspects in terms of how our mind works, how can we control our mental thoughts, how are new karmas formed, and how can we stop creating new karmas, importance of practice detachment, non-attachment and desirelessness, and how to achieve those. And it also talks about 2 main kinds of samadhi. Again, these are 1 or 2 lines, but the wisdom hidden within it is unimaginable. The second chapter is the sadhana path, which means the practice, and this is where they talk about kleshas or afflictions which creates karma, as well as talk about the 8 limbs of yoga, which is yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Yama means self-restrictions, niyama means observations, asana means posture, pranayam means breath control, dhyana means meditation, dharana, which means focused one-pointedness, dhyana, which means concentration, one-pointed meditation, and samadhi, which is the state of nothingness. So the first 4 are the physical aspects, and the last 3 are the inward aspects. The next chapter, Vibhuti Pada, which is essentially the chapter on accomplishments or powers. It talks about all kinds of things, about what you do and what kind of focus can unlock what kind of energy or power within you. And lastly, it's the Kaivalya Pada, which is liberation. Now, these 4 are immensely thought out, very insightful, full of knowledge and wisdom chapters. Even though I have read through these books many times, I still only have managed to focus around chapter 1 and 2, and those are the chapters I still keep repeating again and again with a specific technique which I'll share, and each time it reveals a different wisdom, a new wisdom which is relevant to me, but also relevant to anyone who reads it. So how to best read it? As I said, one thing I already mentioned is read different versions of it. Read the version which you connect to. So I connected to the yoga version, some might connect to the concentrative version. Read different versions, see what you connect to. Initially just focus on chapter 1 and 2. Those are more than enough to just read and contemplate over, and truly that will probably take more than a lifetime just to get through chapter 1 and 2. Second thing is read it like a reference book. This is not something you just read end to end and then forget about it. This is a reference book. So essentially you should keep reading it again and again at different times of the day, different times of the year, when you're feeling different emotions. Just keep going back to this book, and I assure you that different knowledge and different meaning will come, and it will only make you more peaceful. Now, in terms of how to read it, the best way is take at least 12 deep breaths, which I've shared in a separate video called Spinal Concentrative Breathing or Kundalini or Chakra Breathing. I'll share the link for that technique in the description below. So take those 12 deep breaths, at least 12. Ideally you can do 108. Then read 2 to 5 verses. Don't read more than that. Just read 2 to 5 verses in one book, and then you can read the same in another book, another version, another commentary of it. Just read it through clearly when you are in the least amount of thoughts as possible, and then close the book, and then again meditate for another 12 breaths or 108 breaths. This is the Eastern way of reading it. I have talked about it in a separate video. I'll leave a link for that in the description below as well. But the idea behind it is, when you have least amount of thoughts in your head, whatever you want to convey or receive, it becomes much more clearer and simpler. So even when you are doing affirmations or visualization, the reason it's said that you do it in the morning or just before night is that's where the amount of thoughts you're gonna have is less. This is same kind of thing. You don't want your intellect to work as much here. What you want to do is just reduce the amount of thoughts and then just let the knowledge come to you. So follow this technique to get the most out of the book. Finally, what I would say as well is, if you are doing yoga, planning to do yoga of any kind, whether you're doing hatha yoga, whether you're doing meditation, whatever or wherever we are in this journey, at some point or the other, you will come across this book. And once those insights are revealed to you, you will never let go of this book. This is one book which you can never say that is finished. So I hope this was useful. I would highly recommend everyone reading this book. It is the most profound book in the Eastern philosophy, the most insightful book ever written. Go through it, read it with an open heart and mind. If you have come across it, share your thoughts so more people can learn about it. Which version of the book did you prefer? Which is the most profound book that you have found? Please share all that in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed this one. For many more insightful conversations like this on breathing, meditation, minimalism, fasting, being vegan, please like this video by pressing the thumbs up. Share this video with your friends and family and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.